extensively on celebrating Entrepreneurs Day in the world, and we are joined via Skype by the Chief Operations Officer of Riversands Incubation Hub, Mr. Tafadzwa Madavo. Well, sir, thank you very much for being on standby. Welcome to you and happy Entrepreneurs Day.
Happy Entrepreneurs Day to you too.
You know, the problem is that when we talk about entrepreneurs nowadays, you find that everybody wants to be involved in the world of business, whether or not they have background about it or extensive knowledge about entrepreneurship. Firstly, what does it take for us to call somebody an entrepreneur?
So the definition of an entrepreneur generally is that you should have the capacity to identify an opportunity or a challenge. And then as a result, look at finding solutions to that particular opportunity and the challenge. So that's the clear definition of an entrepreneur. But a lot of the time people need to realize that it's not an easy thing to do. In my personal opinion, I actually feel that entrepreneurship in itself is probably the hardest profession out there because you're doing more than just the administrative aspect of your business. You're actually looking at the marketing, the finance, and a lot of the time you're the only person within the business that has got the capacity to do those things, especially early on within the business.
Well, most of the time people get into that not knowing what to do, and perhaps one would start first by saying we are having so many survivalist businesses that have people who have no business acumen, and you will be flooded with requests for you to incubate them. Is that the scenario at the moment, or has the situation improved?
I think the fact that we've got a drive towards actually building small businesses, government has actually incentivized a lot of people to actually look towards entrepreneurship as a solution towards job creation. And I think it's the right move that government is taking, especially in the midst of a situation whereby a lot of corporates are actually retrenching people. Entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship in general, I feel, is a solution. But it's something that people shouldn't take lightly. It is a difficult thing to do. But platforms such as Riversands Incubation Hub are here to actually try and assist the businesses. And we are getting a lot of people who are looking towards entrepreneurship. Currently, we're sitting at about 92% occupancy. And we actually have a waiting list of people wanting to come into the platform. And we are offering things such as access to infrastructure at subsidized rates, which is very appealing to a lot of entrepreneurs. And we focus a lot on businesses that are looking at actually producing things and not necessarily just office space. We also offer your coaching and your mentorship, back office support, and market access opportunities based on the economic activity that's happening around us.
How does an entrepreneur survive in a low-performing economy? And if you look, most of the time, many people who want to get into entrepreneurship would go via social media. They are always selling imported goods, and they call themselves entrepreneurs because they want to survive. When it comes to the incubation hub, how do you operate in terms of catering for those people who are economically frustrated, who have given up looking for jobs, but finding it difficult to start a business?
Well, the first thing is our due diligence process when it comes to attracting entrepreneurs onto the platform is relatively light, especially at the beginning. It's because we want to try and give it an opportunity to as many people as possible. Our location is also pretty good because we're localized close to the Dipslet. So a lot of the survivalist entrepreneurs who are looking at opportunities and are not able to get formal jobs are likely to be able to access the platform. Although we do charge rental, it's highly subsidized to try and facilitate a situation where a lot of these entrepreneurs can access the support that they need. So yes, it is not easy. Yes, a lot of entrepreneurs are finding it difficult to even access the platforms, but we're actively looking at ways of making it a lot easier for these businesses to access the support that they need.
What about being active in the economic environment and people focusing on wanting to do business with government and the role of the private sector in terms of being the clientele of these small businesses? And I want us to draw a line between being an entrepreneur and a tenderpreneur.
Well, look, we can't deny, and I think it's not only unique to South Africa. Look, a government generally has a lot of procurement opportunities because they run the country. And so we can't run away from the fact that they have opportunities of actually giving entrepreneurial opportunities towards entrepreneurs. And if we look at it from a legislative perspective, the Ministry of Small Business, for example, is doing a really great job in terms of raising awareness to those government institutions and other corporates in terms of really putting in place policies that will facilitate a situation where they can actually inspire entrepreneurs to continue surviving, especially within the economic context that we're in right now. So corporate South Africa also has a role to play. But I think we can't necessarily say that being a entrepreneur is necessarily negative, because that is part and parcel of what the economy is. And we need to try and figure out ways of integrating entrepreneurs into the government procurement opportunities that are out there. It's part and parcel of what it means to be an entrepreneur. It's part and parcel of what it means to stimulate an economy, especially if you're looking at it from an entrepreneurial perspective. Yeah. So we can't have one and not look at another particular context.
Okay. Well, I do take your point, especially whether one chooses to do business with the private sector or with government. But you find that in many opportunities, you've got sectors that are overcrowded, where people feel that they are entitled to do this kind of business. And secondly, the Me Too kind of scenario where it's, if they did it, I can do it and I want to do it without looking at a different direction. So in terms of guiding young people on this day, especially where you need to conscientize them about the world of entrepreneurship, what is your advice?
Well, my advice is to look at ways of being very innovative, right? And look at opportunities that are out there. Don't be too dependent on what other people are doing. You're basically replicating concepts that at the end of the day in flooded markets. The idea is to look at opportunities that other people haven't necessarily looked at. And I feel, to be honest, we are having a lot of young, youthful entrepreneurs who are seeing opportunities, especially with the fourth industrial revolution, but also when it comes to things such as farming. And as Africa, this is something that we have to consciously look at as opportunities that we as Africans can take advantage of. So I feel the culture and the precedent up until now may have been that, look, people are replicating what's already out there and you're not necessarily being innovative. But I think that's starting to change. And there's clear evidence here at Riversands, based on the entrepreneurs that we're bringing on board, that a lot of people are looking at really coming up with innovative concepts, innovating processes within their businesses, and are likely to really become successful when it comes to penetrating the corporate market or the government market. So we, at this day and today, we have to really focus on trying to celebrate those who are actually doing well, because they are there and they're doing things that are really innovative, and we need to celebrate and give credit to those who are working hard and doing some really amazing things in terms of trying to build this economy and invest back into South Africa.
Right. Thank you very much for making time to speak to us live via Skype. It's Tafadzwa Madavo, who is the Chief Operations Officer of Riversands Incubation Hub, and talking to us on World Entrepreneurs Day.